Hi, everybody. This is Robert Harley. This is the Excelia Live Show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out to watch my live video. Whether you're watching the live or you're watching the replay, I greatly appreciate you being here with me today. Today, I have an exciting topic. I can't wait to get into this topic to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about your right, my right to be rich. We have the right to be rich. We as human beings, we have been endowed with a certain right to be rich. We have a certain right. We have the right to be free, right to be happy, and a right to be free. A right to be rich, I meant to say. So let's get right into this. No, I have four reasons. One, two, three, four reasons why we should be rich. Why you and I should be rich. Four reasons. We're going to talk about these reasons tonight. Reason number one, why you and I should be rich. Rich, I mean, when I say rich now, there's this a different form of riches. There's rich physically, there's rich relationship, rich in your relationship, rich with your health, rich spiritually, with your relationship with God, or with your higher power, whoever. You're spiritually speaking, you're rich in the area. But then there's financially rich. So we're going to talk about more specifically financial riches. That's what we're going to talk about more specifically. So, number four reason why we should be financially rich. We're going to focus more on finances, but we want to be rich in all areas of our lives, right? We want to be rich in all areas of our lives, but we're going to talk more specifically about money, being rich with money. Okay, so number one reason why we should be rich is it is the will of God. Period. It is the will of God for us to be rich. Now, the Bible says in Psalms 10, verse 22, Psalms 10, verse 22, it says, the blessings of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. He adds no sorrow to it. The blessings of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. Now, when God bless you, the blessing of the Lord, when it comes upon you, it empowers you. It empowers you to prosper. That's what that is one of the meaning of the word bless. The word bless means to empower to prosper. It's an empowerment to prosper. It's like you've been given supernatural power to prosper. That's what the word bless mean, and the word curse mean. When you curse, the curse is the opposite. When you curse someone, you're empowering them to fail. You're empowering them to go in lack or poverty. You're empowering them. It's like you're supernaturally giving them the power to fail, to be failed, to experience lack and poverty. So the curse is the opposite of the blessing. The blessings, it empowers you to prosper. So when the blessings of the Lord comes upon you, you are empowered to prosper. You have the power to prosper. That in other words, everything you put your hands to do, it will prosper. It will succeed. It will increase. The blessings of the Lord, it increases you, it empowers you, it multiplies you to prosper, to be rich in everything you do in all areas of your life. But again, today we're talking about more specifically in the areas of our finances. We are empowered to prosper, empowered to be rich by the blessings of the Lord. It makes one rich. Okay, Okay, so the number one reason why you and I should be rich, because it is the will of God for our lives to be rich. God never intended for us to be struggling and barely getting by. He never intended for us to be living in lack and poverty. We're going to get into that actually. I don't want to jump ahead of myself here. Okay, because that's one of the four things. So I don't want to get into that because I'm jumping ahead. So let's go to number two. Number two reason why you and I should be rich. It is because as human beings, we have the right to be rich. Just being human, just being a man and a woman, just being human, that alone gives us the right to be rich. We don't need any other reason other than that. Than the fact that we are human beings, and as a human beings, we have the right to be rich. It's a part of us. It's part of what makes us human. We were never meant to be struggling, barely getting by, you know. As a human being, it's part of your right. This is a part of your right to be happy, a part of your right to be in good health. It's part of your right to be in a good relationship. It's part of your right as a human being to be rich. It's one of your human right in pursuit of what does the saying goes, in pursuit of happiness, and the American dream. You're in happiness and something and riches. Anyways, it's part of your right. This is all you have the right to be happy. You have the right to be blessed. You have the right to be rich. It's part of your human right. So you and I should be rich. We should be claiming our right. To God, say, this is not right. I should be rich. Just for being human alone, I need to be rich. Now let's go to number three, because you're going to see how all of these are tied together. The number three reason why we should be rich is because poverty, lack, barely getting by, insufficiency, all of these things, scarcity, all of these things are not the will of God. Now, let me get into something here now. Now, I heard a preacher said this one time, and a few years ago, and I agree with this. It happened to be a female preacher. I'm not going to say who it was, but I listened to this female preacher, this lady preacher, and she was preaching the gospel. She was preaching a lot along the line of what I'm talking about here, talking about financial prosperity. Anyway, she said, and I agree with her. I agree with what she said, but here's what she said. She said, if you want to know what the perfect will of God was for the human race, if you want to know what the perfect will of God was for the human race, take a close look at the Garden of Eden before sin entered the earth, before Adam and Eve disobeyed God. Take a close look at how God described the Garden of Eden. What was in the Garden of Eden before sin came into the world? There was no poverty. There was no lack. There was no war. No fighting. The animals weren't fighting against each other, with each other. And man and wife, Adam and Eve weren't fighting with each other. So there's no war. There's no argument and stuff like that. There was peace. There was no sickness and disease. There was no sickness and disease. It was a perfect place. They have everything provided for. They weren't in need of anything. Everything they wanted and needed, it was there for them. There was nothing that they were lacking in the Garden of Eden. That's why, they shouldn't have fallen for Satan's deception to say, they're going to be like God, but because they were already, like God. Anyway, not going to get into that. But there was nothing like that in the Garden of Eden before the sin, before they disobeyed God and sin entered the world because of that disobedience. They were they were perfect. There was perfection. There was you know prosperity, abundance, healing, health, good everything. Nothing of no negativity was there. Nothing like sickness and disease, poverty, lack. None of that was in the Garden of Eden until sin entered the world. Even then, God protected the Garden of Eden and drive out Adam and Eve and protected the garden itself. Anyways, we don't know. Anyways, not going to get into that. But, so take a close look at the Garden of Eden before sin entered the world. And you'll see that it is not, I'll repeat myself, it is not the will of God for us to be living in poverty, lack, broke, barely getting by, living from paycheck to paycheck, struggling. None of that is the will of God. None of that is the will of God. We have already established in point number 1 that the reason why we should be rich, it is because it is the will of God. And if it is the will of God for us to be rich, then we can know that it is not His will for us to be living in poverty, broke, or barely getting by, struggling. That is not His will. Now the fourth reason why we should be living rich financially is because in this earth, in this whole universe, there is no lack, there is no scarcity, there is no insufficiency. There is enough supply on this earth right now to meet the needs of every man and woman on this earth. There's enough supply in this whole universe right now to meet every need, every nuance and need of every man and woman on this planet right now as I'm speaking. There is enough supply. The reason why we've seen lack and insufficiency and poverty in this world is because the wealth of this earth is not evenly distributed across the board. The wealth of the world is not evenly distributed across the board where everybody have everything they want, need, and desire. It is not evenly distributed, and that's why we're seeing lack and poverty in certain areas in the world. Some people are experiencing those kind of things. Some of it have to come down with our mindset, right? But that's another topic, right? In of itself, a lot of people in this world have a poverty mindset, and that's what sometimes comes down to. It doesn't really come down to the material wealth or money. It's all come down to a mindset. That's another topic. But if the wealth of the world was evenly distributed across the board for every man and woman in all this earth, every man, woman, boy and girl, every child, even the kid that was born 7 seconds ago. They say every 7 seconds somewhere in this world a child is being born. So even the child that was born 7 seconds ago, even him, that child, he or she was just born. Even that child, if you included that child in the equation, even that child will have everything they want, need, and desire. If the wealth of the world was evenly distributed, the reason why we're seeing lack, shortage, and scarcity in certain areas of the world, in certain people's lives, is because the wealth of the world is not evenly distributed. It's not because there's lack of poverty. No, there's not enough resources on this earth to meet all of our needs. There is enough resources on this earth. There is enough, but it is not evenly distributed, and that's the problem. But again, some of it's not so much because the wealth of the world is not evenly distributed. A lot of it have to come down to our mindset. A lot of people in this world have a poverty, lack, insufficiency, struggling, barely getting by mentality. And we need to change that. So you start with the mind. Start with the mind. Anyway, so those are the 4 reasons why you and I should be rich. The 4 reasons why it is our right to be rich. Because, one is because it is the will of God for us to be rich. Number 2, we have the right as human beings to be rich. Number 3, broke, poverty, barely getting by, scarcity, it is not the will of God. Again, if you want to see the perfect will of God for the human race, take a close look at the Garden of Eden before sin entered the world through Adam and Eve disobedient. And number 4, the reason why we should be rich, because there is no lack of poverty or scarcity or shortage in this world. There is enough resources on this world right now that if it was evenly distributed across the board to every man, woman, boy, and girl, babies, if the wealth of the world was evenly distributed, everybody will have everything they want and they need. Everybody will have everything, all the clothes they want, they need, all the food, the house, shelter, whatever they need, it's there, but it's just not evenly distributed. So those are the 4 reasons why, because there is enough resources on this planet for all of us to have everything we want and need to survive, to live a rich lifestyle on this earth, or a good enough, above poverty lifestyle. Let's put it that way, an above poverty lifestyle. There is enough for us. Every man, woman, boy, and girl on this earth, there is enough resources for us to live an above poverty lifestyle, where there's no one living in poverty. Anyways, so I hope I said something. I don't know. I hope I said something that you agree with and to motivate you, inspire you, and give you something to think about. Because remember, again, as I said, we have the right to be rich. You have the right to be rich. I have the right to be rich. It is our human right to be rich. So let's go out and let's claim our right. Let's claim it. Let's do it. And it all starts up here. We got to believe it up here in our mindset. We got to change our mindset. Change your mindset and you change your circumstances. Change your mindset and grow rich. All right. So again, thanks for joining me, whether you're watching the live or you're watching the replay. I thank you. I greatly appreciate you tuning in, taking the time to watch this. This is Robert Harley, and this is the Excel Your Life Show. Please join me again tomorrow. We have another exciting topic to talk about. In the meantime, you take care of yourself. God bless you. I love you. Peace.